The story of Lizzie Borden is one of America's most infamous true crime cases, centered on the brutal axe murders of her father, Andrew Borden, and stepmother, Abby Borden, in Fall River, Massachusetts, on August 4, 1892. Without further ado, let's dive into the fascinating story about this case, based on historical records and evidence, sticking to the facts while addressing the key events, investigation, trial, and aftermath. I'll avoid speculation where possible and note where evidence is inconclusive. First, we'll start with the background of this true crime mystery. Lizzie Andrew Borden, born July 19, 1860, was a 32-year-old woman living in Fall River, a prosperous textile town. Miss Borden resided in a modest home at 92 2nd Street with her father, Andrew Jackson Borden, age 70, a wealthy but frugal businessman. Her stepmother, Abby Durfee Gray Borden, age 64, and her older sister, Emma Borden, age 41. The household also included a maid, Bridget Sullivan, who had worked for the family for about 2 years. Tensions existed within the Borden family. Andrew was known for his thriftiness, which clashed with Lizzie and Emma's desire for a more affluent lifestyle. There were also reported strains over Andrew's favoritism toward Abby's side of the family, including property transfers that favored Abby's relatives. Lizzie, a devout churchgoer and member of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, was described as reserved but socially active in charitable causes. Next, we'll take a look at the murders of Andrew and Abby. On the morning of August 4, 1892, the Borden's home became the scene of a horrific crime. Abby Borden was killed between 9 o'clock and 10:30 a.m. in the upstairs guest bedroom. She was struck 19 times with a hatchet or axe, mostly on the head, while facing her attacker. The blows were so severe they shattered her skull. Andrew Borden was killed around 11 a.m. in the downstairs sitting room. He was struck 10 to 11 times with a similar weapon while lying on a sofa, likely asleep. His injuries were concentrated on his face, nearly obliterating it. The timeline is critical. Bridget Sullivan was cleaning windows outside and inside the house that morning. Lizzie claimed to be in the barn loft looking for fishing weights or iron at the time of Andrew's murder. Though the barn was described as stiflingly hot, over 90 degrees Fahrenheit that day, Lizzie's sister Emma was out of town, visiting friends in Fairhaven, leaving Lizzie and Bridget as the only known people in or near the house during the murders. Let's take a look at the investigation of the killings. The murders were discovered shortly after 11 a.m. when Lizzie called out to Bridget, saying, "Someone's killed Father." Neighbors and police were summoned, and Abby's body was found upstairs soon after. Key details from the investigation include the following. No murder weapon was definitively identified. A hatchet with a broken handle was found in the basement, but it had no visible blood or hair. Some speculated it was cleaned, while others believed the killer disposed of the actual weapon. Lizzie's behavior. Lizzie's statements were inconsistent. She gave conflicting accounts of her whereabouts, for example, in the barn, eating pears, or ironing. Witnesses noted her calm demeanor, though some attributed this to shock or her personality. Physical evidence. No blood was found on Lizzie's clothes, though she was seen burning a dress days later, claiming it was stained with paint. The lack of blood spatter on her was a key point, as the murders were extremely bloody. Motive for the crime. Police suspected financial motives, as Lizzie and Emma stood to inherit Andrew's estate, worth about $8 million in today's dollars. Family tensions over money and property were well known. The investigation briefly considered others, including Bridget, a possible intruder, or John Morse, Andrew's brother-in-law, who was staying at the house but was out during the murders. No other viable suspects emerged. Lizzie was arrested on August 11, 1892, after a coroner's inquest where her contradictory testimony raised suspicions. Next, we'll take a look at the trial of Lizzie Borden. Miss Borden's trial began on June 5, 1893, in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and lasted 2 weeks. It was a media sensation, covered extensively by newspapers. Here are some key points from the trial. The prosecution. The case was circumstantial, relying on Lizzie's inconsistent statements, the dress burning incident, and her access to the victims. The prosecution argued she had motive of inheritance and opportunity. Lizzie's defense team, led by former Governor George Robinson, emphasized the lack of physical evidence of no bloody clothes or definitive weapon, her respectable character, and the possibility of an unknown intruder. They also highlighted the timeline, arguing it was tight for Lizzie to commit both murders, clean up, and appear composed. Evidence issues. The hatchet was debated. Its clean state weakened the prosecution's case. Lizzie's attempt to buy prussic acid, a poison, the day before the murders was ruled inadmissible. Her calm demeanor was interpreted variably, as guilt or innocence. Verdict. On June 20th, 1893, the all-male jury acquitted Lizzie after deliberating for about 90 minutes. The lack of direct evidence and her status as a respectable woman likely influenced the outcome. Now we'll review the aftermath of the murders. Lizzie and Emma inherited Andrew's estate and moved to a larger home in Fall River, named Maplecroft. Lizzie lived there until her death in 1927 at age 66. She faced social ostracism, as many in Fall River believed her guilty despite the acquittal. Emma moved out in 1905 after a falling out, possibly over Lizzie's lifestyle or lingering suspicions. Lizzie never married and lived quietly, though she remained active in some charitable causes. She died of pneumonia, and Emma died 9 days later. Their estate was distributed to relatives and charities. Here are some theories and legacies surrounding the case. To this day, the case remains unsolved, with no definitive evidence pinpointing the killer. Some theories of the murders include Lizzie as the killer. The most common theory, based on her opportunity, motive, and inconsistent statements. Some modern analyses suggest psychological factors, like repressed anger or a dissociative state, but these are speculative. An intruder, supported by the lack of physical evidence against Lizzie and reports of a suspicious man near the house. However, no credible suspect was identified. Other household members, Bridget or John Morse, were considered, but evidence against them was weak. Some fringe theories suggest Emma's involvement, despite her alibi. The case has fascinated the public for over a century, inspiring books, plays, ballets, operas, and the famous, though inaccurate rhyme. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. This rhyme emerged in popular culture, cementing her infamy for years to come. Modern forensic analyses, like those in true crime documentaries, often conclude the evidence could support either Lizzie's guilt or innocence, depending on interpretation. Despite her acquittal, Lizzie Borden was largely ostracized by the community in Fall River, where she continued to live until her death in 1927. The murders remain officially unsolved. While Lizzie Borden was found not guilty in a court of law, the question of her guilt or innocence continues to be debated, making it one of America's most enduring true crime mysteries. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.